Cool. Alright. Ladies, gentlemen, and fat people in the room. No offense to them. Okay, when side government comes up here and tells you that we're going to ban fast food for obese people, we actually mean it very simply. What we're going to do is that we're going to stop all restaurants from selling fast food to obese people. Mind you, fast food being food that is declared unhealthy with all the preservatives and gunk that you stuff into it, i.e. McDonald's, KFC, whatnot, and obese people following the standard medical definition of anybody with a BMI over 2.7. Meaning that if Sharvin were to walk to McD's, they wouldn't entertain him. They're not allowed to sell fast food to him at all. They weren't allowed to sell fast food in ML. There's a lot of reasons why we need to do this, right? We're going to talk to you, one, about the social contract and why it's right for us to remove the choice of fat people. We're going to talk to you about how fat people are a burden and they need this removal of right. And then we're going to talk about social engineering, and Brian is going to go on to talk to you about how it's going to change the face of restaurants and people and health in general. We've got a lot of things to tackle, so let's get into it. But before I do, sorry bro, just let me do my safeguards first, right, before you get cranky on me. Here's our stance, right? We don't think this is a significant double standard on fat people. The House needs to recognize that fat tax is already implemented, that airplane tickets in certain countries like Poland are now more expensive for fat people. The House needs to recognize that a lot of fat people already have a double standard in how they live their lives. The double standard's already there. This doesn't create like a new double standard or change it significantly. It's just adding on to what's already there, which I will tell you later is important to do. Next, right, we don't really see any damage to fast food industries in the long run. We don't think the loss of this revenue will be too great to damage fast food industries, but even if, right, maybe in a bit, you don't have to shout, I can hear you, but even if there is damage to fast food industries, we think this makes restaurants think more critically about the type of food they're pushing forward, and like Summer or Brian will tell you later, change the marketing methods to make a more healthier restaurant. Right. Now before I go into the last point of my mechanism, come here.
Okay, what about people who are biologically obese? How are you going to draw a distinction and then ban them from buying food at the instant of in the restaurant?
Thank you, Kabir. Look, statistically, there are more people who become fat and there are people who are biologically obese, but we concede there are people who are born fat and have no say in the matter, like Mithran. Have you seen this? They have no say in the matter. But we tell you that, look, there's a minority of them, but even if this distinction, they can still lose weight, it's greater for them, and we don't see that just because of these people we need to amend all of these, right? We think that's not something that we need to tackle. Maybe in a bit. Okay, look, the last point of it is rehab. Why do people feel the need to eat fast food? Why do biologically obese people feel the need to consume so much? We tell you a lot of it is psychological. And I'll tell you more about this in social engineering, but we from side government would open rehab like we do for alcohol and smoking for more obese people. Like we would make obese rehab. Mithran, you can come to our rehab center, relax, sit down. We'll make it open to people like Mithran and Sharvin so they can come and get off their addiction to food. So that's government's basic stance, helping everybody. But let me tell you why we're taking this stance, right? Look, the social contract. Before I go into that, Mithran.
So are you going to now start placing weighing machines outside McDonald's to check each and every individual before they weigh?
Mithran, I don't need a weighing machine to know you're obese, bro. I don't need to measure your weight to know you're obese. People are obese, you can see from the look, I don't need to regulate that. Now, social contract, right? Why is it right for us to remove fat people's rights to eat what they want when they want? We tell you a social contract exists. You cannot tell me you don't want to pay tax. You have to pay tax. The government forces you to pay tax. It takes away your freedom of choice in this instance because it sees a greater good. Now let me prove to you how a greater good can come of this. Ladies and gentlemen, what are fat people, right? We tell you, look, fat people are a burden to our country. No offense, in this sense, right? They need more medical attention. We have so many sick people, disease is rising, we need more hospital space. But these fat people are coming and flooding our hospitals.
Spaces!
Sorry sir, and they're filling up spaces. They don't need one bed, no, they need 2 beds. So they fill up a lot of spaces and they're stifling the space that is reserved for people who actually need it. Secondly, we think there are more and more fat people that are coming up in this world today, right? More fast food joints, more fat people. As a result, more countries need to provide economic and medical facilities for them. And as a result, people aren't pulling their weight. They're becoming lazy, and we're losing a lot of maybe later. We're losing a lot of people in industries that require hard work. People are becoming lazier, and there's a link to this. Two people are becoming fatter. So we think that when people become fatter, when the number of fat people increases, then we have a problem.
Point, sir.
Right? So we think that for the greater good, to prevent people from continuously becoming fatter, we need to implement these double standards. We need to take away their right to eat fast food, so fat people don't become, oh, freaking hell.
I think it's water.
Right, I hope so.
Continue.
So fat people don't become fatter, which we need to happen for a greater good. But like on a second level of analysis, right, social engineering, we're talking about making fat people into thin people. We're talking about, look, the world today as we know it is currently getting fatter.
Before that,
More fast food joints, more fast food joints, more people gacking on fast food, more people getting fatter. We think that if we don't change this, things are going to become very bad for us. Like hospitals are going to be filled, like I already told you, and there'll be a lot of people not pulling their weight economically, right? So what is social engineering? We tell you that when you introduce more double standards for fat people like we are doing now, it makes people not want to be fat on a general basis. Like, you would now think more critically about eating that burger, because if you are to eat that burger, if you are to not exercise, you're going to become fat. And if you are to become fat, you're going to be subject to these double standards. You're going to be sort of stigmatized by community, and no one wishes that upon themselves. So what they're going to do is that they're going to try to avoid being fat. They're going to think more critically about their diet because they don't want about these double standards. For the biologically fat people who are born fat, look, they can, I'm sorry, 6 minutes, they can already work out, they can do what they want to do. We're not going extreme. We just want people to know that if you're fat, there's something wrong with that. We want you to know that, look, it's not okay to be fat, contrary to popular belief, because you, one, are filling up hospital space, two, causing the country to spend money on medical circumstances, three, not pulling your weight economically, four, becoming lazier and lazier, five, promoting bad health generally, promoting fast food, and six, you're a nuisance to society. Take up 2 seats in the bus. But look, basically, fat is not good for you, for me, for everybody. So for your own good, for my own good, and for everybody's own good, we need to introduce this double standard so there'll be less fat people in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
Hey, does anyone have an extra pen to borrow, Brian?
Oh, yeah.